Hey, we're here with the Barr Brothers. Thanks so much for taking the time, and thanks for coming to play and all that. Aptly named record, the Barr Brothers, because you wouldn't want to go with something else, probably.
Well, it's a bit of a misnomer because Sarah and Andres are as equally integrated into the whole thing. But yeah, we named it that. It was sort of it was a whim.
You guys are originally from the New England area.
Yeah, Providence, Rhode Island.
Providence, Rhode Island, and you moved up to Montreal. How did that all happen?
That happened in 2005. We were playing a show in Montreal. And
2003.
Was it 2003?
2003.
God,
We met Beggar in 2003.
right. Yeah, 2003.
Yeah.
Okay. We were playing it in Le Swimming on Saint Laurent in Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a waitress working there that I particularly fancied. And the club, we had the fortune of the club catching on fire that night. And everybody had to clear out on the streets in the midst of sprinklers and instruments getting grabbed. And I got to finally talk to this girl and gave her my sweatshirt and got her address. And that was kind of our way into the city. We moved 2 years later, I think, up to Montreal.
And how did you meet Andreas and Sarah?
Sarah, in the first apartment that I moved into in Montreal, Sarah was my neighbor.
Oh.
So I used to hear her playing harp through my bedroom wall. Actually, on the other side of my bedroom wall was her practice room. So yeah, it kind of got me through some cold, lonely Montreal mornings. Was just laying there before we even really knew each other. Just listen to her play harp and imagine this, really lush forest on the other side of my bedroom wall, and was very curious. And eventually, we became friends. Started playing. Andres, I used to see him playing piano around town and in certain outfits, and he has a nice studio there. And just through a sort of circle of Montreal friends and musicians, he ended up, being our sort of secret weapon in the band.
That's a big thing. Is the Anglophone music community in Montreal has really blossomed over the last probably 10 years, right? I mean, there's this other band that's expats called Arcade Fire that's in Montreal. You heard of them? No.
Mm-mm.
Right.
No.
And there's other bands too that obviously English-speaking bands too that are in and born in Montreal and stuff. That just seems to be this Patrick Watson too, and lots of people that are.
And a lot of Canadians too,
Yeah.
from Vancouver and out east. You have the Winter Sleep guys live there now. And
What do you think it is about Montreal that's bringing this music community together? Any of you?
You guys are the
getting
natural.
It's a minority within a minority.
Right.
I mean, Quebec is a minority within Canada, and Montreal is a minority within Quebec, and then the Anglophones in Montreal are a minority, so you end up having this you kind of cling to each other.
A Russian doll. Of
Right.
minority.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, I think also just economically, anywhere that artists can afford to live,
Right.
they'll all congregate. And because Quebec is French and the economy is a little bit different, and they support arts a lot more
Yeah.
than most other places in North America, it's just a natural place for us to live.
Is the Slip done now, guys?
no, the Slip still plays a few shows a year.
Yeah.
Yep, it's become less of a focus, but it's always it'd be a hard thing to shoot dead. It's a pretty it spreads pretty wide.
Let's talk about the record and a couple of tracks on the record. The record opens with Beggar in the Morning, and that seems to be getting a ton of ink all over the place. Can you talk a bit about the song and its lushness and just the beauty of it?
Well, I can talk about how we sort of came to produce it that way. It was actually one of the first songs I wrote when I got to Montreal. I think it was it's kind of a traveler's song, and it's a bit unsettled. It's kind of Beggar in the morning, King at night. It's about noticing all the paradoxes that are going on in the world and nature, and seeing how we need them. We need paradoxes, and they're very much alive inside of us also. And so I had the song, and we just started playing it around. It's got a lot of layers in the beginning, a lot of textural stuff. We wanted it to sort of feel unearthed. I feel like it was dug up, like have a lot of artifacts going on, a lot of different sounds and things coming in and out. Yeah, we were trying to make it feel like, like you maybe just discovered this thing, it's, dusted it off and looking at it.
That sentiment certainly is matched in the video with all kinds of stuff being dusted off and art and all of that, obviously on purpose, right?
That video is an artist out in British Columbia who makes these amazing sculptures, and I just ended up in his studio, some friends of friends, and he builds these amazing sculptures out of tiny animal bones and found objects and metal, and animates them with little gears and stuff. And I thought I would love to just see his things shot well on some kind of video, because he can't haul them around to galleries or anything. It really has to stay where it is. So to bring his stuff to the world and to sort of align some cool visual things to that song, we decided to go film his stuff. And
another lush song on the record that has lots of parts, and I would imagine live it has even more, is Deacons Son. What can you tell me a bit about that track?
I mean, I could talk about, Brad wrote the song,
right.
But I think it's definitely inspired by some of the Malian musicians that we've all been inspired by. And Brad and I, when we were living in Boston, there was a lot of guys from Mali who played music and dancing and drumming. There's a big community, and we actually got to know them pretty well. I got to go over there and check out music in Mali for a couple months. And yeah, for us, it kind of had this, it felt like the source of a lot of the music that we had grown up loving, a lot of the blues and rock and roll. So yeah, we dug pretty deep into that, the Ali Farka Touré and Toumani Diabate School of Music, and Sarah also is a lover of the kora, and Andres too. And it just kind of, that song is a lot of the rhythms and atmospheres that we've been inspired by from that stuff.
That's the thing about this record, is that there's all kinds of influence. I mean, it's not just a folk record. It's not a Delta blues record. It really is. I mean, there's this descriptor on the cover of the record: a crossroads of beautiful folk, combustible Delta blues, West African rhythms, and enchanting harp melodies. I mean, it really is all of that and so much more. Is that something that you guys were cognizant of when you were putting these songs together, that you wanted to have a really layered, textured record with all kinds of influence?
We really took our time recording this. We didn't know that we were making a record when we were recording the songs. We just had set up a studio, a place, really just a place for us to make music and record and learn how to record. So when the songs were being recorded, we didn't really have any consideration of how they would all fit together on a record until a couple years later. I was like, all right, well, we've got all this music, let's put it onto something. So at that time, yeah, we were aware that it, was a kind of a big mix of things, but for us, they all kind of stem from a similar place, which is, a new take on traditional music, and done through our own kind of strange distillation process.
One of the songs that's most sincere to traditional folk music is Old Mythologies, in terms of it being an acoustic song and padding instead of drumming and all of that. Did you purposely sprinkle in? I think of Ubal as well as another one of those tracks that is very traditional in its approach. Is that on purpose, or again just wanted to record some great songs and put them all together?
I think I actually remember recording Old Mythologies like in almost a day. Like you played it for me, and we arranged it immediately and recorded it immediately, within an hour maybe. It was the song that you weren't even sure you wanted to do anything with, and Andrew was really a fan of it, and so I think it was just. And my first impression of Brad's songs and songwriting is always I don't like layering stuff all over the song. They're always, they get really excited about, like, I found this sound, and let's put this here, and I'm always taking it away and taking it away.
Yep.
And so Old
That's true.
Mythologies, we recorded almost immediately after having played it for me, and I'm always kind of like, no, don't put anything
Yeah,
else on
I don't
there.
think we really
No.
touched
Yeah,
it.
we
No
already
more
touched
stuff.
that one.
We did
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
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 The harp's an interesting element too, and lugging that around in the live setting must be tough. But it is so intrinsic into the Barr Brothers sound at this point. I mean, is it? How do you guys feel about that big instrument, around you?
Pain in the ass.
Really? But it sounds so good, right?
Well, and Sarah is just, she's just not your average harp player. It wouldn't. I don't know if any of us would haul a harp around if it weren't for the fact that Sarah is so inspires us when she plays that thing. Because it's a pretty big instrument, but you just get used to it. It's part of the routine, and there's a certain reward after bringing it all the way down here, and we enjoy it. We kind of live for it. Actually, we love it.
Are you guys constantly writing new stuff on the road? I mean, you're touring a lot, or back home in Montreal? Is it? I mean, this took a long time to come together and make. Is the next record gonna take as long, you think?
I don't think so. I think it's pretty much got a batch of new songs that we've been performing live, and I think the band now has kind of developed a language, and it's going to come quickly. We all kind of know what we like to do within the formats of the songs. Granted, it's different on every song, but we, I think, have a sense of how to produce things together as a quartet. So I think the next record's going to come pretty quickly.
It is hard to find time, though. It's really hard to find time, especially when you're touring, to actually to sit down and play music together. I was thinking that today, that it's like you're just being rushed around from one place to another, and all you really want to do is play music, and sometimes it almost feels like you're being cut off from your own creativity constantly. And as an artist, that's really frustrating. But then it makes for when you actually do get to sit down together and play music, you kind of just want to go crazy at it.
How do we do this?
Yeah, it's a little bit explosive. It's like,
I would imagine that you have lots of touring ahead of you now that the record's out, and not just in Canada, but in the United States as well. Is that the plan?
Yep. Our next gig is the Grand Canyon. after Montreal. Yeah, we're gonna drive to the Grand Canyon.
Excellent.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't tell you guys. Yeah.
You're taking the harp and you have to carry it down.
They have mules.
Oh, they have mules.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, good.
Thanks so much for a great record, and for dropping by, guys, and continued success.
Thanks, Ira.
Thanks.
Thanks.